It is the part of the format that everyone looks forward to the most, the ban list prediction videos. And now starting today's prediction off with the number one card players want to be banned, and that is Harpy's Featherstorm. And now ever since its release and its techie in the Fluunderies deck, players have hated this card. And ever since Thrust's release, it has just gotten insane. And with Ryziel just kind of being able to exceed into the Castel, and Mitsurugi can as well, being able to set up the Harpy's Featherstorm has never been easier, and as we know, once this card is activated, it is essentially a turn skip for the opponent. And that's pretty good in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And as we've seen in the most recent events, such as Nationals, a lot of players are side decking 3, even if they already play things like Triple Tactics Thrust. And that's because, like I just stated, if this card is activated at all, it is essentially an early GG and a scoop 'em up for the opponent. So, Harpy's Featherstorm, easy ban on the most recent ban list. But we're going to go right into the limited section because I do believe Harpy's Featherstorm is going to be the only card getting hit this format. And then first limited card is none other than Heavy Storm. And now I know we've all been pretty much screaming from the rooftops that Heavy Storm is going to be going to 1 just like the OCG. And I'm still coping. Honestly, I really hope we do see its release. We see traps getting all sorts of love. Morganites are going to be making their way onto the scene. And Heavy Storm is just going to be another card that fares well in the format. I know Lightning Storm is at an all-time high usage in player side decks. But we're going to be seeing that Heavy Storm can be utilized in different ways. Even more so than the Lightning Storm. Especially with all these decks playing face-up spell and trap support. And then the next card on limited list is none other than X Ryziel. And now I know Konami has just hit the Ryziel package, basically putting 3 of them to 2 and then the detonator down to 1. But we see the X Ryziel is easily one of the best cards in the Ryziel package, basically being able to send the aggregator from the extra deck to the graveyard and shut off any card on the opponent's field right before you start your combo line. And that is why the X Ryziel is easily the next card on the list to be going 1, to be putting a little more pressure on the Ryziel combo. And then following up, kind of hitting the Malice deck, we do have Malice P Dormouse. And again, as we know, Dormouse being one of the main cards in the combo line, having the ability to banish any of the Malices from the deck, which will then allow them to be summoned themselves. And then if you have just started with this card outright, if this card is banished, you can summon it right back. And now, even though the Malice deck got the same treatment as Ryziel on the last list, basically everything going to 2, we see they are still topping and winning many events. And that is why I do believe the Dormouse, as well as EXT Ryziel, will be going to 1 on the next ban list. And now continuing with our limited section, we have a Summon Sorceress being an easy card that can be going 2-1 from the ban section. It's getting reprinted very soon for the TCG, as well as it had the errata. So with the errata, as well as a reprint, it is only fair to assume that the Summon Sorceress will be going to the limited section on the next ban list. And now finishing up with our limited section, I have to ask, Konami, please free Link Karibo. It did nothing wrong. It's been banned this whole time because of the Snake Eyes sins. Let it come back to 1. It did nothing wrong. So Link Karibo 2-1 is something that I am coping for hard on this next ban list. But then going to our semi-limited section, which we actually see Konami has been utilizing lately in the TCG. It was kind of the forgotten part of the ban list for quite some time. But we're going to be starting off with the card that many players hate almost as much as Shifter, and that is Droll and Lockbird. And now you can debate down in the comment section whether you think Droll and Lockbird should be going to 2, should be banned, or if the game is fine with it at 3 and players just need to suck it up. Definitely comment it down below because I want to know your opinions on the Droll and Lockbird. But then another card going to 2 would be that of Artifact Lancia. And now I know Artifact Lancia on its own accord isn't as broken as things like the Scythe, but with the most recent side decks, and honestly this has been going on for quite some time, anytime you see side decks, 3 Lancia, 3 Lancia, 3 Lancia, unless you yourself need to banish, then it's 3 Chaos Hunter. You know, I know switching it up all sorts and but 3, Lancia has been an immediate go-to, and some players even play Artifact Sanctum, and it's searchable through Thrust. So essentially, you have just unlimited access to Lancia. So this card going to 2 would definitely switch up some players' side decks a little bit, and it wouldn't be as stressful for the Malice deck going into game 2 and 3, which honestly, as we know, a lot of times, they don't fare too well as soon as they're past game 1. So Artifact Lancia could be trimmed down to 2 in the upcoming ban list. And now that leads us to our next card in the semi-limited section. And this is honestly if they don't put Droll in Lancia to 2. Okay, so just want to note that right here. And that is Called by the Grave. And now we saw that the cross out designator did go to 1. Some players have been hip and going to the sales ban, but a lot of other players have been screaming that this just isn't good enough. All the hand traps are just going to be going off. You can't stop them. It's too crazy. We have Bolt Charmies. We have Droll and Lockbirds. It is nuts out here. So 2 Called by the Grave is something a lot of players have been really asking for, not just this format, but especially this format. And again, with all the Bolt Charmies at 3, I can definitely see why Called by the Grave went from one of the most hated cards to one of the cards that a lot of players definitely want to be including more of in their main deck as well as their side deck. So what do you think? Called by the Grave to 2, or will we see Konami keep hitting hand traps like they have with Dimension Shifter? And now that brings us to the next cards on our semi-limited section, and that is Into the Void, Sekka's Light, and Card of Demise. And now I know this might be insane sounding to a lot of players, but hear me out. We see Upstart Goblin already being at 3, and this is a much better card than Into the Void. And then on top of that, we see all sorts of support going to the Sky Striker deck, and a lot of these cards, mainly Into the Void, will be supporting that as well. Sekka's Light, honestly, just a card that's been forgotten about. Right now, you have to essentially scrap all spell and traps from your deck just to play a Pot of Greed. Definitely not worth it. So Sekka's Light could definitely go to 3, because even if we see another Monster Mash format like we saw with the Thunder Dragons, it's not going to be quite the same, and we have quite the competition in the meta game to combat that. And then obviously Card of Demise is going to be the one that a lot of players are like, yo, we can't do that. And as someone that is a Morganite fan, I'm saying, suck it, nerds. I think this card can go to 3. And if you agree with me, definitely smash that like and comment down below, because we wouldn't be drawing our cards for that Morganite package. And honestly, OCG has it at 3. We can get it at 3 as well. So Card Demise to 3 in the TCG, please. And then wrapping up our semi-limited section, we have to go over the meme deck, and that is the Memento Anguish, as well as the Memento Horse that I cannot pronounce. Yeah, the zebra, you know the one. So yes, the meme deck has been going crazy, and we've seen just how powerful it is in the TCG. If you've been following the OCG, you have been kind of anticipating this for quite some time, but it has finally bled through to the crazy combo users in the TCG, and this national season, it has shined very bright. And it would not surprise me if we see Konami kind of try to snuff out that flame a little bit, just to keep players moving on to the newer, brighter decks, okay? So Meme Toll Anguish, as well as the Horse, to 2 on the latest ban list. And now I'm going to hold you hostage because I can sense one of you is watching that hasn't subbed to the channel. And that's actually crazy, man. Drop that sub so you are making sure you see all the content as it releases, and those who already have, like the video and share it with your friends. But the unlimited section, we are starting with a fan favorite, and that is Unchained Soul of Sharvara. And now the Unchained deck took the metagame by storm. Konami was like, yo, wait a minute, buddy. That was too crazy. Put the Sharvara to 1, hit it a lot, and immediately the deck got dropped. So Sharvara to 3 in the TCG would actually be very appreciated by a lot of fans. And now that moves us to kind of a basic card going to the unlimited section, and that is Morphing Jar. We saw it was out, well, honestly banned for quite some time, then put to 1, nothing happened. They're at 2 right now, so I think it is time to bump it all the way up to unlimited. And, you know, if something bad happens, I'm here for it. And the next card going into Unlimited, and maybe it's copium on my part because I keep kind of hoping this for every ban list, but that is Monster Gate. And Infernoids need love, whether that's Reasoning to 3 or Monster Gate to 3. Honestly, it is time to be bumping these numbers up and letting the mill decks kind of run free. This isn't something that Lightsworn will utilize. It's things like Infernoids and decks that are just wanting their monsters in the graveyard that can't be summoned. It can only go well, right? So Monster Gate to 3 in the TCG is something that I would really appreciate. And then going to the trap that should have never been hit to begin with is Naturia Sacred Tree. And now we saw Runic got released as well as Naturia's, and then even though we had things like Sprite as well as Tournament floating around with Kashtira, obviously the Sacred Tree was the problem in the format and had to go to 1. And I'm just going to say right now, if you're playing Runic against Malice, you're instantly losing, and these Naturias fare nothing against the metagame. So Naturia Sacred Tree 2-3 would be everything we need. And that brings me to my next card, and that is Runic Fountain, which I actually didn't have on the list until I was just talking about Sacred Tree, and I was like, well, wait a minute. We should have Fountain at 3. You're right. You know, our Runics need some love. So Fountain to 3, something I definitely want to see. And then next up on the Unlimited section, we have Substitoad. It was banned, it's at 1, kind of following the same traits of the Morphing Jar. It's not breaking anything. Let's put this baby to 2 or 3 and get the show on the road. And honestly, the only reason I would see Konami not doing that is if they give us Broken Frog support, which I think they're going to, so do keep that in mind. And then wrapping up with our Unlimited section, and this can be a little copium, you can say, and it's a card we've been discussing for quite some time, and that is Infernity Launcher. And now I think Launcher will be moving its way up to 3 in the future of TCG. And I also do think we will also be getting support for Infernities. And now we always have to wrap up with some notable mentions. And now we have Wind Up Zenmighty as a card that always gets listed on these ban list predictions. And now I do say it will be unbanned one day, but we might see a couple formats before that takes place. Now watch it get unbanned, that'd be awesome. But definitely is a card that if they prep properly, especially with the Hunter being the problem, the Zenmighty is an easy card that can be unbanned in the future. And now we can also say the same for I sold 2 Tales of the Noble Knights. And actually, I think this card is being reprinted over an OCG in some special pack. So that was a green light to many players, especially in the OCG, that I sold might be getting unbanned. So definitely keep that in mind. And then another card is Vert Anaconda. I want this card unbanned, and I want it unbanned right now. But will it happen? I don't know, but I'm still coping for it. And then the last card on our notable mentions is a card that we mentioned in its own video on the channel, and that is Red Reboot. And now we've been seeing Konami give all sorts of love to trap cards, whether that's with the Eldritch support, the Odeon support, or all the Dominuses. And as we see, a lot of the trap cards that are being printed are now activating directly from the hand, and the only way to counter that is with Red Reboot. And we do see that at 1 in the OCG for this reason. So Red Reboot going to 1 in the TCG is something that can easily happen sooner rather than later, even if players are not ready for that. So Red Reboot 2-1 is definitely a card we had to end on in the notable mentions. And most importantly, let me know what you think will be on the next ban list. Is it similar to this, or is my list straight Garbaggio and I don't know what I'm talking about? Definitely comment it down below so we know. And for those that did not see the Red Reboot video, definitely give that a watch because it will be very important moving into the future of the trap meta. But most importantly, stay safe, have a good night, and suck it, nerds.